Today we have Vicky. And so Vicky and I met through the Instagram DMs and we were going back and forth and sending voice memos back and forth. And a lot of what she was saying, I feel like, is good for anyone who wants to improve their view around money and psychology of money. And we'll hear more about what her expertise is and what kinds of courses and good information and experience that she has. But also, she's starting a business. She's starting to put content online or think about content online with Instagram, YouTube, and everything. So, any new creators, anyone wanting to be an entrepreneur, anyone wanting to improve their money relationship with money or mindset, will hear more about it. But I feel like this is going to be a good conversation. I'm so excited to meet you and hear more about your story and where you're at. And yeah, so do you want to introduce yourself and
Well, yeah, I can. I also want to thank you for this opportunity. Honestly, it's a great thing. Um, it's, I don't know, it's so unexpected, and I'm so happy to be able to have this conversation with someone and actually have it be recorded because I keep having these conversations with people, but it's kind of like you said when we were talking last week, I think, on Instagram, where you have all these conversations and you keep having them again and again, but sometimes they get watered down,
oh,
because
yes,
you don't always have the time to go fully into them or
yes.
the bandwidth, or, sometimes things evade you.
Hmm.
So I think this is great being able to record it. Yeah, so I'm Victoria. I'm from Montreal, first generation immigrant. So I've seen my parents, do all the hard working and then having money, not having money, and then seeing how that affects people, and especially with immigrants, there's this hard work mentality where you really have to overachieve a lot, like even in high school and primary school, even. I was just very like pushed with that, and it was always like about productivity. And I think that created a huge kind of stain on my relationship with money, So in 2022, I decided that I didn't want to live like that anymore. I was very stressed out, always like, it was like money was ruling my life. And I was always stressed in survival mode. You know how it goes, right? I'm sure most people now in the world feel that way. And in 2022 was kind of like a breaking point for me where I just couldn't take it anymore. It was, the second year of COVID. Things in Canada were still very tight, very restricted. And so, it was not a very good economic time for most people, myself included. And I reached a breaking point where I just threw my hands up and was like, God, universe, source, whatever, whoever, I didn't have a name for it yet at the time. Um, Show me what to do because this is clearly not working. Like, forcing your way at it is not working. So, anyway, then I started a full year of just rewiring myself, and a lot of things have changed since then. And the biggest one is that I have like peace of mind now with money. And I think everybody deserves that. Everybody should be able to take a deep breath and not live in survival mode, not live in fear. And that's what I'm trying to bring into the world now. This is my calling, this is my legacy, and I'm so excited to get onto it.
Wow, I'm so happy to hear that
Thank you.
with your journey, and then also that you feel that strongly about it being your legacy and your purpose. How did you start with the rewiring? What did that look like, that process?
Well, I'm lucky enough at the time I was living with my mom, and I'm lucky enough that she's also kind of on the spiritual path.
Hmm.
So, as it tends to go most of the time, right, when you're getting messages, you're getting the same message from different places, but in like a slightly tweaked way because it's like
Yeah.
maybe this time you'll get it. So
Hmm.
at first she was like, stop stressing about money, like the
Ooh.
universe will provide, blah blah blah. And I was like, are you crazy? Like I can't even make my minimum payments. What do you mean? And then she was like, stop stressing, and then I started, all of us were chronically online at the time.
Yeah.
So from like different places when I was still not in that space of like mindset work and all of that, I started getting these videos about people talking about shifting their mindsets around money and everything. And that kind of made it click. And then what really, really changed things for me was I listened to this podcast episode and I really wish I could go back and find it. And this woman was talking about how you treat money and that fact that money is just an entity, it's an energy, right?
Mm.
And it's neutral. And the thing about it is, just like with anything else, you have a relationship to it, right? So just like you have a relationship with your mom, with your friend, with your dog, with your boyfriend, husband, whatever, you have a relationship with money. And how you treat it is gonna 100% affect how it shows up for you in exchange, right? And so it made me realize like we blame money for so many things. Money is guilty all the time. Money is evil. And the reality is money is just a tool that's used and it all depends on how we use it. So when that clicked, I kind of wrote this letter to money apologizing for blaming it, for not trusting it. And that was the beginning.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so now I know that you started making courses around, is it like the process that you went through? Now you want to guide other people to do the same?
Yeah, so basically, over the year of 2022, like I said, I went through the transformation. And then, my birthday's in January, the New Year's in January. So January is always like a transformative month for me, I think. So January 2023, I realized just how much my life had changed. Not just my mindset, but just my life around me kind of started rearranging to show the change within me.
Hmm.
So since then, I really wanted to start talking about it. And in September of 2025, I kind of got my go ahead because I didn't know how to talk about it before. I felt the taboo around money. And I got my go ahead. And now I want to do it. I'm ready to do it. And I started working on the course, which is just modules. And yeah, it's basically I went back and deconstructed every single thing that I had to work on and every single change from from then to now,
Yeah.
and trying to make it accessible to people, trying to explain it because it's like when it's happening, when you're going through it, you don't exactly notice it. You don't know the steps you're taking, especially for me. I was kind of like feeling in the dark, kind of blind. I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
So now, like in September, it finally clicked like just talk about the journey. And
Yeah.
so I started doing it like a story. And then I realized, now my course is separated into three sections. The first one is kind of pinpointing exactly which money wounds you have. I've broken it down into like archetypes and everything, and what each archetype says and how they act and how this is detrimental to you and your life and your money relationships. And then after that, it's kind of like the reclaiming of the programs, starting to really think about how, example, like a scarcity mindset being like money doesn't grow on trees. Like, realistically speaking, except in Canada, money's plastic. But in the States, money is paper, right? Like, realistically speaking, the paper grows on the trees, like, and then if you think about our digital banking now, how, like, when's the last time you touched cash, right? Honestly, everything is digital. And the money goes, let's say, from my bank account to your bank account over the internet. It's basically just flying through the air,
Yeah.
right? Like money is flying around us all the
Everywhere.
time in the air. Um, and why are we thinking that it's like a scarce resource, especially when the states are printing it all the
Mhm.
time? Resources are being found if you want to talk about gold and, you know, fuel and everything. So that kind of thing is like just the rewiring of it, being like, okay, maybe it's not a finite resource. Maybe there is enough for people, for everyone. It's freely available if you just manage to, I don't know, create a good relationship with it and call it into you. So, yeah. And then the last stage of the modules is really kind of embodying the person that you want to become and
Nice.
the ideal relationship that you would have with the money. Yeah.
Do you have maybe an example or two of what that identity or that person would do
Yeah.
for somebody?
Yeah. So, example, I've had the opportunity to work for multimillionaires, which is like an amazing privilege. And so I've been in their homes, I've seen how they operate, I've seen how they treat money, how they think about money, about their material possessions and everything. And an example would be um, the name of the module is Wealthy Women Don't, what is it called again? Wealthy women are educated, so they take an interest in their money, because like when you're in that survival mode, when you're like stressed about your finances, you're
Yeah.
dreading opening your bank account. You're
Oh my
dreading, like,
gosh.
you don't want to think about it because it stresses you out. But that just creates more negative emotion around money. And it's kind of like
Wow.
this downward spiral, right? But when you kind of take, how can I say it? When you grab it by the reins and you're like, okay, this is the reality. I have $5 in my checking account. Like, I have a $1,600 credit card that's due like in a week, just shining a light on it and being comfortable looking at the reality of it,
Wow.
and not shying away from it. And then starting to develop an interest in different, what's it called? Risk tolerances, example, for investing. All of that kind of thing is like, if you are shoving your head in the sand like an ostrich, pretending like the problem's not there, or, telling yourself that, no, sorry, what's it called? Investing is for men, or investing is for people who are smarter, or like for people who know math or money or whatever, you're kind of closing the door on that. And you're not going to fall into wealth by chance. You
Hmm.
have to actually take an interest in your money. And bringing it back to the parallel with a relationship with a person, like if you and I were friends, I would be interested in what you like to do. If you like to hike, if you like matcha, if you like tea, if you like dark chocolate or white chocolate, your life story, how I can make your life better, what gifts I could buy you. So it's very much the same thing. You have to take an interest in your money.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
I, yeah, I'm in actually a business program right now. It's called Wealthy Women Business Academy, and it's for coaches. But it's so holistic, like about your entire life. And there's a big focus on money and
Mhm.
making rituals around it to make it
Yeah.
like so that you do it and make it a little bit more enjoyable,
Hmm.
but actually look at your stuff.
Yeah.
How important do you think, like, I always think about talking about money too, I feel like is good. Like, what are people doing? And even talking about like how much you make and stuff, like how do you feel like that plays into?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a huge stigma around money, right? Especially as women. I think like that's also a niche that I'm getting into, is women specifically. There is the wage gap, the earning gap. There is this, when you're taking a maternity leave, they're more likely to, terminate you as an employee if you're not, if you're married and if you're considering having children, like they're not supposed to. But realistically, they can wrap it up in a bunch of other reasons if they really want to. And as women, there's this guilt around wanting money. We get labeled gold diggers if we want material comforts, if we want the safety and the security of a partner who will provide.
Hmm.
There's, like I said, the stigma around like investing is for men. Women don't understand money like that. Women aren't savvy businessmen. You know, there's centuries upon centuries of this kind of stigma. And just around money, why do apps like Glassdoor exist, right? Why are people so afraid of sharing how much they make? It's just, and I think opening conversations around that in courses or even in casual things like this is necessary and it's important. And I think it's part of the healing of the relationship we have with money.
That makes me think with money, I think talking about it, you don't want to make anyone feel bad and you don't want to feel shame or make other people feel shame. But I like the approach of I want everyone to make as much money as they want to. And talking about it, you realize the different avenues that you could be making money from, or like it's not a fixed thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And, you know, especially in the digital age that we live in, it's so much easier, I guess, to make money in avenues that are not the traditional avenue anymore, like content creation, like, you know, people doing UGC and brand deals and everything.
Mhm.
There's this huge, I don't want to say like democratization of money, but like there's this, I feel like there's this redistribution of wealth, you know, but we're so bogged down by all of our programs, all of our patterns, all of our very limiting belief systems that most of us are afraid to reach into the huge cloud of wealth that's being like redistributed and grab a chunk that we deserve.
Yeah, so interesting.
Yeah. And a lot of people carry this kind of like virtue patterning around money where it's like the, what's it called? uh, like morality martyr. That's what I call one of the archetypes, which is basically like if I want money, I'm greedy, you know, like, and I'm more noble, I'm more virtuous, I'm more of a good person if I'm broke, if I'm in poverty, if I'm struggling. My struggle is proof that I'm a good person, which is totally not true. You can be a completely good person and have so much money, have so many resources, and just redirect them to where they're needed. But, you know, that's the kind of limiting beliefs people think about.
Yeah, for sure. I know you've talked about feeling like you have enough. You
Hmm.
want to talk about that a little bit? Like, no matter where somebody is and in their journey of building wealth, how do you make sure that you're not thinking it's going to solve happiness?
So, so I mean, I actually am against the saying money doesn't buy happiness because I think happiness relies on peace, relies on security. You know, the Maslow pyramid.
Mm-hmm.
This is the Maslow pyramid, where the bottom line is your physical safety. If you don't have enough money for your physical needs,
Wow.
for your personal needs, like how do you expect to be happy, right? Like yes, you know, you can be in poverty and still be happy, let's say, but you still have to have your needs met. Every person has different needs, you know. Some people are fine. Like I have a friend who literally this last weekend was out camping at -20. You know,
Oh,
he
wow.
has different needs than I do because I would never do that. I'm comfy in my bed,
Yeah.
like warm at night with my heating and everything.
Yeah.
So, and I don't think there's a reason to shame people for wanting a more comfortable life versus, you know, so back to all of it is I mean back to your question is basically there are people who have millions and billions even and who are still in the insecure scarcity mindset. They still feel like they're not making enough, you know, they're not covering, they're living paycheck to paycheck. You know, we've all heard stories of people who make like half a million a year and it all vanishes, right? But that's because they're stuck in that patterning. They're self-sabotaging themselves. And then you have people who, like that janitor story, right? There's a janitor who had saved his entire life and then he like donated millions to the
Wow.
school kids, right? And it's like if the janitor can work a normal day, like everyday job, probably minimum wage job,
Mhm.
and be fulfilled in life and then leave behind such a legacy for the people of his community, it really shows you that it's not the dollar sign. It's not like how much you have in your bank account. And you really have to decouple it from that. It's a very like it's multiple layers. You have to decouple it from the guilt and then allow yourself to desire, but with gratitude. You have to always come back to the baseline of gratitude and being grateful for what you do have. You know, like I was during that year I did daily gratitude journaling. So every single day, 5 minutes at the end of the night, like I would wind down and have my four little prompts, and then I would write five things that I'm grateful for. And most often than not, those five things are literally just shelter, food, and like the people you love being okay and being healthy, right?
Mhm.
And when you kind of focus on that, you realize like everything else is just extra. It's wonderful. It's great to experience, but it's extra.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Yeah.
Thank you.
Speaking of how like anyone, there are multiple ways that you can make money, especially these days in like the digital age, I've heard it called. And you were
Mhm.
saying there's all this wealth that you could tap into. And I've been listening. So it's been a year of me being in business and content creation. And one of the podcasts I really liked that I listened to in the beginning was with Daniel Priestley, on Diary of a CEO. But he talks about how everybody has value, maybe from what you've recently gone through or just in general that you might not even know that you have. And you describing how you made your course sounds very similar to what I'm doing with my mindset coaching. So I do one-on-one coaching right now and the content creation, but in my coaching, it's a lot, I do a lot of work of what's the journey that I went on. And like you said, I can relate to you're blind a lot of the time. And sometimes you don't even realize what's happening. So to look back and what were the pivotal moments and what are the techniques and the tools that I did that got me to where I am? What am I still using? And how can you teach that to somebody else to help them do it faster and just in general, like what was the path?
Yeah. I think like the biggest challenge is structuring it in a way that's understandable to someone else,
Hmm.
so they can follow it and actually make it actionable, make it interesting also for them to
Oh, yeah.
follow. Because a lot of people fall by the wayside because, things are too high level or not interactive enough or all of
Oh,
that kind of thing. So, yeah.
and it can be trial and error too. Like you can always adjust
Yeah, of
as
course.
people go through it, and then you realize, oh, I missed this, or yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's another thing that I've had to like heal a little bit is showing up imperfectly, showing up before I'm ready. Everybody says it, but it's easier
Yeah.
said than done.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, and I really do. And part of my, like a module in the middle, I think, somewhere talks about or encourages even the participants to actually look at the skill sets that they already do have and think about ways they can monetize them.
Ooh,
So
cool.
like I have this girl who I'm kind of her mentor, and we were talking about business and everything. She's like 6 years younger. She's 18 now, and she was like, okay, but Vicky, like I don't understand how you can make a business out of anything. Like, what do you mean you can make income out of anything?
Mhm.
Like, and I'm like, okay, example. She was recently getting into like, the card tricks, like flipping the cards and whatever. And she wanted to learn, but she was like, oh, it's a waste of time. And I'm like, it's not a waste of time. Imagine you learn these tricks. Imagine you'll get pretty good at it. You
Mhm.
can start advertising to do like birthday parties on the weekend.
Mhm.
You can do $50 for like 2 hours. Parents are going to be happy that the kids are not on phones. They're
Mhm.
going to be happy that they're having an interactive activity. You're essentially a magician, right? And you walk away with $50. If you line up just one gig per weekend, that's 200 extra dollars a month, right?
Wow.
Like that's not nobody hands you that money. You don't find it on the street. And yet here you are, you're getting paid for doing something you like. She likes kids, so bonus. And you're practicing a skill that you're going to be practicing anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
It's little things like that.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think we all have like these little hidden skills
Hmm.
that other people can marvel at.
Yeah. And for me, I think my process of figuring out the value that I had was just kind of sharing everything and seeing what lands. And then
Yeah.
also through my conversations with people just throughout my life and the people that I would
Mhm.
meet, then I would share it online too. Because, yeah, anything that I would want to tell one person, probably more would want to hear it. Kind of like this conversation.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, it's true. Like that is like that's also my story a lot. It's just it happened more organically in person. Like um I didn't decide to go online until now.
Yeah.
But I think there's also a lot of value like you and me can add. I think we had this conversation where it's like instead of people feeling around in the dark and like it taking so long, we can take we can help them make it faster, streamline the process a little, less trial and error.
Yeah. And like you, I was doing this offline for a long time also.
Yeah.
A lot of, yeah, trial and error.
Yeah.
What does that make me think of?
I wanna ask you, what is your personal like I guess journey with money or like your the views you hold right now?
Yeah. Okay. So I grew up in probably middle class, upper middle class, never
Mhm.
really worried about money and was taken care of. I'm so like grateful and fortunate that my parents paid for college. I just made a video about this actually. Like, I feel like I always kind of had an abundance mindset about it, but like aware and conservative enough and like a big saver. Like my mom would, when I started babysitting, like opened a 401k or a Roth IRA, something like that for me, and CDs. So always like saving and whatever. I might bounce around a little bit. I just made a video about this. I got money from the Tooth Fairy, I think. I had like 10 bucks saved up, and I remember like a core memory of mine was buying everybody ice cream at the pool, like all my friends. And I was just thinking, and it's funny that you said something about your mom, maybe of how the universe will take care of you. Like I feel that deeply of like I will spend everything that I have being generous, knowing it's going to that memory kind of shaped me because that was 10 bucks and that was all I had at the time. And then of course now I would spend 10 bucks and not really think about it. And then
Mhm.
like I made money babysitting and maybe giving swim lessons and stuff. And then I bought my first laptop that was 1,000 and like that was a huge deal. But now
Mhm.
it's not that much.
Mhm.
And I was just thinking about the idea of like, right. And for example, now in my life, business coaching and investing in mentors is a lot of money for me. Like a few like several $1,000s this last year, but I
Mhm.
have this confidence and abundance of that's going to be like the 10 bucks in a few years because of where I'm going. And I'm going to be taken care of. I also like to I listen to a lot of different money podcasts and books and stuff, and I feel like I have my money like allocated in the right way, and I'm a big saver and like
Mhm.
whatever. And then also yeah, huge investor in myself and my energy. So the things that I value, I'm a big like money dials person too, like Ramit Sethi.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, so I think about like what my money is allowing me to feel, I guess.
Yeah. You've touched on like several pillars of my course actually. The first one being generosity. One of my later modules is wealthy women are generous.
Cool.
Um, because you know, it's easy to spend money on yourself and to justify it, but I think it's so much more gratifying to treat a friend, you know, to a coffee if that's all you can afford, or to a dinner or to a show, you know, and stepping like, you know, I'm Eastern European, so you never show up to someone's house empty-handed, no matter for what, right? You you go and you bring them like cookies or something. And generosity is such a big thing in terms of showing the universe that you're not kind of clutching on for dear life onto the money and being
Cool.
like, no, this is my money. I'm so afraid of it leaving me. It's not going to come back. It's instead giving and knowing like I'm blessed and it is an honor to bless other people too, you
Hmm.
know, and being a good steward for the money. And I don't know, I really found that a very gratifying part of it, I guess. And I feel like the less you think about it, the more you kind of do it. And the like it compounds, you know, when it comes back to you. And I think your mom did a great job setting you up so early with so many, you know, not opportunities, but just setting you up early. And it sounds like you had a healthy relationship with money, at least
And
the way
even
they
like
showed it.
my parents would never say that I remember like that they can't afford things. It's always about priorities. Like we weren't always doing the most expensive stuff and doing everything. It's like all about coming back to the values and the money dials. You can do anything you want, but not everything to the like every extent. And they even laid out like you could go to this school and yeah, like out of state and pay for it, or like we'll do an in-state tuition and this is what it looks like, whatever.
I mean,
Like the
that's really
decisions.
good. they were having open discussions with you about it. And that's like a huge thing also. It's I think a lot of parents either involve their children in their money messiness. You know, a lot of people really have bad relationships with money.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, children get involved at a very early stage, and especially like ages 0 to 7. You don't exactly necessarily understand what's going on around you, but you know, mom and dad are fighting about money again. Mom said I can't have candy because we can't afford it. Mom needs to leave all the time to go to work, and dad is never home because he has to go to work to get money to pay for me. And you know, it's like this kind of the bad relationship starts so early. And that's my first module, is really like going back and being like, notice all of these little tiny details and the way that money made you feel maybe alone, right? Because parents left all the time. So I'm really happy that to hear that you had like a good open dialogue with your parents and they did it in such a responsible way of also giving you the power to choose. So yeah,
Very
they
true.
did an amazing job. That's so rare.
Yeah. And it's definitely from their own experience and their childhoods and their like debt that they were in and stuff. They were into Dave Ramsey also. And so
Okay.
like their lessons, I guess, they always teach us. And I'm like such a rule follower. Like I will like take their word for it, whereas like my brothers sometimes like they want to figure it out themselves. In turn learn the lessons themselves. But
I mean, yeah, everybody's got to do it their own way.
yeah.
Yeah, I think what was the other pillar you touched on? I'm trying to remember now. I should have written it
Values or
down.
the dials or no?
Mm, before that, it was something else. It like clicked and then vanished. um, I can't remember. Oh, what was? I don't know, but I think it was about the priorities. Also, I had. It's a very good way of looking at it instead of I can't afford, because a lot of people go around thinking that, you know, like I want all these things, but I can't afford any of them. Instead, like you said, prioritize which ones are more important to you, what needs to get done, what do you need, and then what can you play around with.
Hmm.
It's just the whole thing is just reframing how you think about it, essentially, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this is great. Is there anything else you want to say? I'm thinking I'll see if you have time. If you want to keep going, I'll need to make
Okay.
another link. But maybe we could talk more about the business entrepreneurial side if you have
Yeah,
time.
we
But before we
can.
switch over, is there anything else that you want to say about money or your courses or and also how can people find you?
Oh, well,
Your courses if they want to. Or if you're not ready, that's okay too.
the course is not up yet. I haven't launched it just yet. I'm finalizing the PowerPoints, the slides, and I'm hoping to host my first cohort in the upcoming months. But people can follow me at houseofv.co on Instagram. Yeah, I think so far it's just. And then I have a website, houseofv.ca, if anybody wants to check that out. Uh, I think that's it for now. Oh, and I guess what I wanted to say finally about the money is just it's so easy when you're in that survival mode, when you're like in that, I guess you would call it the bottom of like your financial relationship, the worst of it is, you know, especially I had this in the beginning. You see all of these, you know, mentors or coaches or people who are in my position or people who are in your position who haven't really had to do quite as much, who, like, you know, you've had a pretty good relationship with money, as it has been modeled for you. But it's very easy to be like at the bottom and look at these people talking about all these things and like go like, are you crazy? Like, you're so privileged, right? They look at like it's so easy to look at anybody saying this kind of thing from and assume they're privileged, that they come from a family that, you know, supports them financially, set up 401ks, even maybe trust fund babies, daddy's money and all of that, going all the way back to all of the stereotypes and the stigma. When the reality, I think, is that anybody who actually has thought about these things, who has taken the time to go through them. And anybody who's actually passionate about it will be someone who has actually done the journey, who has actually crawled out of the hole of survival mode and regulated their nervous system and actually come to the other side and now want to extend a hand. So, I'm aware that a lot of people might look at this kind of conversation and kind of relate to some parts, like the rock bottom, but then feel a complete disconnect, like it's so unrealistic, all the things that we're talking about. And I don't know, I guess to them I just want to tell them that maybe, I don't know, I don't know actually what I would tell them. I would tell them to give it a shot. I'll tell them to take a chance on themselves, because that's actually, at the end of the day, it's really just taking a chance on yourself, having faith in yourself, um, instead of trying to chase, the external. It's kind of coming back to center and, I don't know, coming back to yourself.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll definitely have a part two. So
Yeah.
end it here, and maybe we'll even talk about like the business side of money and making money through the business stuff in the next one. But
Hmm.
this is gonna cut me off, but I'll send you another invite for a different
Okay.
in
Perfect.
a minute.
No
Okay,
worries.
see ya.